Okay, let's start. So if you actually see the entire project report, right, I think everybody would have actually seen their particular synopsis. The structure of project report would not really change much, except that your data analysis and the summary and those kind of sections needs to be added. But I'll tell you the most important parts that we need to actually get things from the project point of view, right? So one is, see, if you see the project, the section wise, what exactly we are doing, right? So, I mean, this is exactly following what exactly we learned in RM subject. There is a defined flow, first of all, for every project report. The first thing that we actually do is we start with introduction, right? So now what this particular introduction is supposed to do, this is one of the major section that we will have to write as a student, right? So if I actually say that our time spent on writing the paper, there are two parts which takes major amount of time. One is introduction, the other is review of literature. So let me first talk about introduction. So that is the first part in your project report that is going to be. Okay, so introduction is nothing other than you talking about the topic. So let's say, in my case, the topic is impact of remote working on employee engagement and employee performance among IT companies, right? So if I just divide this particular statement, okay, into multiple parts, and try to introduce everything. So now I am talking about, in my topic, I'm talking about remote working. I'm talking about IT company. I'm talking about employee engagement. I'm talking about employee performance. And also I'm talking about impact of remote working on employee engagement, impact of remote working and employee performance. So in this title itself, the paper that I'm talking about various terms. If I just take the title, right? Introduction is something that is going to cover all those things. For example, I'll share my whatever the project report that I have, so that you get an idea the way that I was actually thinking. Right, let me just share the screen. Okay, so the way I did, right? So as I said, this is the topic, impact of remote working on employee engagement. So first I started what an IT company is. When I say IT company, what it is. So how many people are working on this in this particular IT company? Typically, what kind of educational background that they are in, right? What kind of work profile that they have. Okay, and how the reporting structure is in general, right? So I'm talking anything and everything about the IT company. So I just took this particular term. What I did is I searched in the web various articles related to IT company, basically the one which can describe the IT company. So here I'm talking about employee performance, right? And I'm talking about employee engagement. I would want to talk about how the employees, what background that they really come from, right? I would want to say that what sort of work that they are going to do, and what sort of skills that they would really require, and how their reporting structure is, because employee engagement and other things really depend on the manager and all those stuff. So how typically structure would be, right? So I picked up all this content related to IT company, which I thought is relevant to my subject, to introduce. Basically, I'm just introducing the topic. So this content, simply what I did is I went to Google, searched for IT company, employee roles in an IT company, typical education background of an IT company, and I just copy pasted content from the web. Okay, so whatever that you have is, I just copy pasted from various websites. I would have just altered English words to be consistent in my flow. For example, if one site is using passive or the other side is using active or whatever it is, I'm trying to actually maintain one type of voice, etc. So simple English modifications. But other than that, Here I'm not innovating anything. I'm just bringing from the web a simple Google and then copy pasting the content in the introduction. So introduction, you can actually put whatever you think is relevant to your subject as an introduction and give it a flow. So the way that I gave a flow is I started with a typical IT company, what kind of education background, what is the remote working profile for them, and how remote working really worked in this particular IT company. What is remote working? What are the differences between home and office environment? How people are trying to stay productive in case of work from home scenario. How employee engagement really work as such, right? Various aspects that are related to employee engagement. So this is all like so the way that I did is I created an index of things, what I would want to cover in it. Okay. For example, the index that I am talking about here is I want to cover what is an IT company. I want to cover what is a remote working. I want to cover what is employee engagement. I want to cover what is employee performance. So these are the list of things that I want to cover to introduce. So I prepared this list, and in that list, each item, what I did is I just Googled it. Okay, so simple Googling that I did. So every website which I thought is giving relevant content, I copy pasted from them. Okay. And then what I did is, as soon as I copy pasted from a particular website, I pasted whatever the links that I referred in the web references. So there is a section called as the web references that I created. And inside that web references, I copy pasted all the URLs, whichever that I am copy pasting from, basically. So I referred these websites is what exactly I am talking about. So net to net, introduction is a free flowing text which is going to describe each and every piece of whatever that you have in your paper. And anything which you think as link. For example, in my topic, I feel that employee performance really employee engagement really depend on their manager. Okay, so now I can search for an article which actually talks about like, okay, yeah, something like impact of employee engagement because of managing style, something like that, right? Some random search. Okay, so now I got an article. Okay, so now in this particular article, simple thing that I could actually do, okay, yeah, how management style is going to affect it. So this is the part which could be useful for me. Okay, take this, copy, go and paste within the introduction somewhere in the employee engagement section. The only thing that I need to ensure while putting it is I am putting in a relevant flow. The flow cannot be random, right? I mean, I can't really in between IT company, I can't place the manager effect on employee engagement, right? I need to first cover what is IT company, and then cover remote working, and then cover employee engagement, like that. There is a flow. So this flow is something that I need to ensure. But this content, I don't have to actually innovate. I just have to copy paste in a relevant place in the document. That's all you will have to do as far as an introduction is concerned. And then once you copy paste, take this particular link, and then and then in the web references, put that particular link. Simple. Okay, so introduction is a free flowing text which is copy paste from various Google articles, any website, any book, everything and anything. You can actually bring that particular content into introduction and give it a flow. Just give it a flow. Okay, and preserve the URLs. Any doubts on introduction part?
Praveen, I have a small doubt here.
Yes.
Do we have to run a plagiarism check whatever we are writing, or is it fine? Right?
See, basically those, see, you don't really have to reword or restructure to a greater deal. Okay. So till this particular para is making sense for you.
Okay.
In the sense, it is giving certain meaning, which is in the context of your paper, you're good.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't have to worry that, okay, yeah, so and so website says that, okay, according to Gartner estimates. So let me reword this particular sentence to something else so that it doesn't appear like copy pasting. You don't have to worry about it because we are calling out web references.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Okay, so you are not saying that you wrote this particular content by yourself. You are actually saying that these are the references that I have.
Understood, yes.
Okay, so don't worry about, so this is not really, you are not claiming it as your IP.
Understood, got it, yes.
So there are certain contents in the paper, I'll talk about those, which you need to actually word it in your own terms, which anyway that I'll talk about. But introduction is not something that you will have to really worry about it.
Got it. Yes.
Okay. There's one point here similar to whatever Chetan was asking, especially when let's say we are making a public document, we may have to take a written permission. We probably need not, right? Here.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, so and the content is also not from a single website anyway, so the entire paper is not coming from one website, right? So you need to probably carry out this particular thing from various websites. So cumulatively, your major part of the paper, your major part of this particular project report would be this introduction. Okay. So you will have to probably think from various directions, what all aspects that are coming into your paper, and then keep Googling it and pasting the content in the right order. That's all, right? For example, right now, just in front of you, I thought about that. Okay, well, how managers could affect the employee engagement. How employee engagement, how absence of manager could really, impact employee engagement, because in work from home scenario, manager is not sitting in front of him, right? So I can think all those garbled, whatever the thoughts that we have related to this topic, Google it and then place it in the right order. Okay. And major part, that means more than 50% of your project report would be this introduction. So this introduction would be very lengthy. So you might have to actually search for various sources. So at least make it something like 25 to 30 pages minimum as far as the introduction is concerned. Okay. So rest of the part would be more crisp. So they would not be occupying a lot of space in your project report. So if your project report will have to be like 50 pages, then more than 50% of it needs to be introduction, because rest of the content you can't really write to a large extent. Because for example, if I have to write a conclusion, right? So if I have to conclude my paper saying that whether really work from home matters for employee engagement or not, how many sentences I can write? I can only say that, okay, yes, employee engagement is affected, and I feel it is affected in this particular way. That's it. I can't really write pages and pages of conclusion. Then it would not become conclusion. It will become something else, right? So the rest of the content, even though you write it, you are not going to write in a large, basically that is not going to be bulk of your content. Okay, it is going to be crisp and short. So make sure that you have a lot of things that are covered in the introduction itself. So in order to make those 50 pages, introduction is one of the key. Okay. So the next part is review of literature. Okay. So until now, what we did in introduction, we randomly searched some web papers, web articles, books, whatever it is. We randomly searched everywhere and then put our content. Okay, so now what review of literature is it is not random search. It is what research says about your paper. That's exactly what you're going to search. So basically here what we are saying until now is we just introduced what all things that is there in my mind, right? So basically how managers affected, how in general employee engagement is measured, how performance would be impacted because of engagement, etc., etc. All the topics we wrote in introduction. Here in review of literature, we are talking about research done on these items. Until now, it is all general web. So if some keep on, somebody wrote in their blog, that also you are copying and pasting in introduction. But in review of literature, you are not supposed to actually copy from everywhere. You need to actually get it from proper research articles. So now how you are going to get what you are actually doing here, right? So before you doing the your research, you are just actually verifying what others did. Okay, so what others concluded, that is exactly what you are doing in review of literature. Okay, so everything and anything related to your topic, the research that is done by people is what you are actually searching. So how you are going to search for research? There are a couple of sources. Okay, so one of the source is Scholar, Google Scholar. Okay, so scholar.google.com. Okay, this is one of the source which can give you the search within research papers. Okay, and there is one more search which is Shodh Ganga. Okay, Shodh Ganga is it is actually it searches on Indian research papers. Okay, and Google Scholar is general search on every other article. Okay, so every other paper. So basically what you are doing is you are searching for research that is done. The way that we search here is, again, you have a topic. I have a topic which covers employee engagement. I have a topic, the same topic covers remote working. Same topic covers something like employee performance. So now I am going to search for what are the papers which are closest to me, right? I mean, for example, employee performance when they are remote working. Okay, so now I got so many papers, right? So here I would actually choose a paper which I think has got closest to my research topic, right? So basically rationalizing remote working concept and its implication on employee productivity. This seems to be closest for me based on my topic, right? So even if it is, so it need not to be exactly close. Okay, anything which is, if you feel that, okay, yeah, this has got something which might be relevant. For example, association among remote working concerns and challenges on work-life balance. Okay, so even though it is talking about work-life balance, to some extent, their engagement could be affected because of work-life balance. I can search for some other paper related to association of work-life balance and engagement, right? So you can actually search for all remotely connected papers. So what you are going to do once you find it, let's say I found this particular article to be relevant, go click it. Okay, so now in this particular thing, okay, what I need is, in some cases I might get entire paper like this. If you are getting entire paper, well and good, but in a lot of cases you might not get entire paper. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't really require to write entire paper. What you need to actually do is you need to copy the abstract or else the conclusion. So basically abstract or the conclusion, one of those. Okay, so why abstract and conclusion? Okay, so basically you are not going to talk about all the things that this paper talked about. You are going to tell only the what is the final conclusion of this paper, what it is saying, whether it is related or not related. If it is related, how it is related, right? So you are going to make a very crisp statement saying that this paper is talking about this so and so aspect of it, right? For example, in the conclusion, I am going to copy from here. Remote working would be beneficial depending on how management views, and there is no clear basis on. See, basically, this seems to be little relevant to my copy paste. I'm going to copy paste this particular sentence, whatever from the conclusion or from the abstract. So even abstract will have some kind of it will tell what this paper is talking about, right? So basically it says that, okay, yeah, so it is going to say that, okay, what they studied and what they concluded. So here we can either pick the content from abstract or pick the content from conclusion and copy paste that content inside review of literature. Again, inside review of literature, you can make sections. Okay, so for example, I picked one paper related to engagement as job involvement. Okay, so what exactly that paper said. Okay, similarly, I picked up a paper on psychology of engagement. So I picked up that particular abstract from that particular thing, copy pasted here. Okay, so I can make a section for that particular paper and then paste from the abstract or conclusion, small portion of that paper. What I'm just calling out is, I'm just saying that this paper says so and so, that's it. Okay. So only part which I'm actually picking up is the conclusion of that particular paper or a very high level statement on what that paper is doing. Okay, so now once you actually take it, okay, what you are going to actually do next? So here also, in case of whatever it is, like you copied the reference, that URL, here you are going to copy the site. Okay, so here there is a button called as a site, you can see. So you can copy, you can click on that site, copy this APA. Okay, there is a format called as an API here. Copy this and then paste it in the end. Like web references, you make another references here. Okay, and paste all the papers that you are referring. Okay, is it clear? So search in the Google Scholars, get the abstract, get the conclusion, paste that conclusion, and in the references, click on this particular site, get this APA, and then paste it in the end here. Here net to net, what you are doing is you are just searching various research papers and collecting information related to your topic, that what various research papers are saying. That's it. Okay, any doubts on this?
Hi Praveen, I have a small doubt here.
Yes.
I have asked this doubt to Akhila ma'am also, but I have not got a proper answer. For example, in literature review, you are mentioning one paper and you are giving the citation at the end in the reference.
Yes. Yes.
But how we are going to relate that, okay, this particular paragraph is taken from this, because ma'am said we are not supposed to mention that square bracket one, how we mention it in our engineering paper.
You don't really have to mention it. Okay. In some cases, while you are actually talking about, you can end up mentioning like this, right?
Okay, with the name.
With the name and all those stuff, right? But you don't really have to make an effort saying that, okay, yes, this section is related to that paper. Okay. Similar to in introduction also, we are not making any effort saying that, okay, this para comes from this. Right. For example, I picked up this para from website, but here I might not, I'm not clearly linking these two. Okay. So it is okay to not to link. Okay. If it is a proper PhD paper, you might really have to actually link in that way as well. But considering that this is a project report, you don't really have to make an explicit
linking.
Okay. Linking. Okay, so that's okay. So don't worry about linking it.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So generally it is linked with that spare bracket and then reference would be given there. But you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Let it actually free flow. Okay. So anything else on review of literature? Is everybody clear on it?
Yes, Praveen.
Okay, wonderful. So if these two are done, actually speaking, your major part of writing a project report is done. Okay, so what else is there, right? So here we have something called as a methodology. So most often this is something that is given by our guide itself. Okay, so you might not have written a lot of things in the methodology part. What methodology is actually covering? Methodology is actually covering that what is your research problem statement, what are the exact objectives of it, what are their independent and dependent variables, what is the hypothesis. Okay, so this content would not occupy a lot of pages, but it would be very crisp and to the point. Okay, and most often you will discuss with the guide and they themselves will actually give you these particular statements saying that this is exactly what you are actually doing as a research. Okay, so there is not much of a content that is going to come in this particular thing, and this is not going to change in your final project. It's already there in your synopsis. This is not going to change in the final project report. This is going to remain same, because obviously the statement will remain same irrespective of synopsis or the final one. Okay, the other part this methodology does have is operational definitions. So basically you talked about a lot of content in introduction, but when it comes to these variables, what exactly is the crisp definition that you are intending to say? That's exactly what this what this particular operational definitions is. So you take each variable, for example, what is remote working, what is job performance, what is employee engagement. In couple of sentences, you are going to make a crisp definition of it on what is that you are intending, what is the definition that you mean in this paper. Okay, so that is what is the operation. So here also there is not a lot of content. It is only two statements that are going to two sentences on each variable. Other than that, there is nothing that you will have to write, and this is going to remain same. In synopsis it was there, and it is going to remain same even in your final project report. Okay, and then how you are going to sample it, how many employees that you are going to contact, what is the inclusion criteria, what is the exclusion criteria, what kind of tools that you are going to use. That means in case of if you are talking about some questionnaire, which scales that you are going to use. Okay, what kind of statistical techniques that you are going to actually follow. So these are all the other things that are going to come in methodology, and this is all something that would actually come from your guide itself. So most probably you might not really have to write anything beyond what you discuss with your guide or provided by guide and all those stuff. Okay, in your final project report, other than these sections, what you will have is you will get a data analysis. So basically you are going to analyze your data which you have collected here in this particular section. Okay, and then you are going to write conclusion. Okay, so this data that you analyzed and the conclusion part are two extra things that are going to come in our final project report. Okay, still I did not write it because my data collection is yet to be done. Okay, so data, whatever the data that you collected and what sort of how after putting it into the formulas, whatever that is there, what is the statistical analysis of it is what it would actually come here. And conclusion part, a para or couple of paras saying that, okay, yes, based on my analysis, whether employee engagement is affected or not affected, whether performance is affecting or not affecting, whatever the conclusion statement that I am going to give, couple of paras of conclusion is going to come. So even well before you doing data analysis and conclusion, right, make sure that you fill the introduction part. The most important parts that you need to right now concentrate is this introduction, which is a free-flowing text, and the review of literature, which is from scholar.google.com. Okay, scholar.google.com or Shodhganga, or if you know any other website which is going to concentrate only on research papers, you can search over there. All research papers throughout the world, wherever that you find that it is relevant, copy paste the abstract or conclusion part of it, and then collect this citation, and then make sure that you are actually collecting all the citations in the end. Okay, typically these citations are alphabetically arranged. So you need to actually make sure that it is there in right order, basically. So if you see, I have arranged it, say first C, D, D, E, G, H. So make sure that it is alphabetically arranged when you are collecting these references. So don't randomly put the references, make sure that they are arranged in an alphabetically order, right? Okay. So review of literature, introduction. These are the only things right now you concentrate on. Once you get the data, you are going to add data analysis and conclusion. So data analysis and conclusion is not a big deal. You can actually do it in a couple of hours, because conclusion is just 2 paragraphs that you might have to write, right? Not much. Okay, you can't write pages and pages of conclusion. Data analysis is just about you solving one statistical algorithm, whether you are going to do a t-test or some other test, depending on whatever the results that you, whatever the paper that is there, right? You might have to do that particular test and submit, saying that, okay, yeah, this is the value, this is the F value, and based on this, my hypothesis is rejected or my hypothesis is accepted. That's all. So just like solving one statistical algorithm or rather problem is what you are going to do once you get the data. Okay. The major part is review of literature and introduction, which is going to be a copy paste from either Google Scholar or else in general web content if you are talking about introduction. It's as simple as that. Okay. So any questions?
Praveen, is there anything like introduction should be these many pages that we should be maintaining, and review of literature we should maintain these many things like that?
So as I said, right, so in general, we are talking about paper which is going to be of 50 pages. Okay.
50? Is it 50?
50, yes. 50, yes. 50 pages. So if I'm talking about 50 pages, my major part of my 50 pages would be my introduction, because rest of the content I can't write long sentences, right? So basically, so my thumb rule would be like, I'll at least make 25 to 30 pages of introduction. Okay. And in case of review of literature, the basically thumb rule is not based on the number of pages, rather how many papers that you actually refer. Okay, minimum, at least minimum, you might have to actually refer around 12 papers or so. Okay, so at least 12 plus papers you need to actually refer. So if you have 3 variables, at least make sure that you have 4 papers per variable. The more number of papers that you actually refer in review of literature, the less it is. Okay. So if you can actually make it 15-20 papers or whatever it is, very good, but make sure that you have at least 12 papers that are referred in case of review of literature. So don't worry about length of those particular abstracts or length of those particular paragraphs. So that's fine. So some paper might have a short conclusion, some paper might have a long conclusion. So that's okay. Depending on that, it would vary, but number of papers, at least you make sure that you have around 12 such papers, right? So basically, so these references, whatever that you refer, should be around at least 12. More number of it, the better it is. Okay, but introduction, make sure that it is the major content. So total pages for your project report, try to actually clock it to 50. It is just to show that you have done sufficient analysis. So the more number it is, better it is, kind of a thing. Yeah, hello?
Praveen, 50 is inclusive of only introduction.
What is that? I couldn't hear.
50 paper, what you call the 50, yeah, it is totally only the introduction part, right? Not the other one that you told, the review of literature. It is only introduction 50 pages, right?
No. Introduction, at least make it 30 pages. Okay, you don't have to make introduction 50 pages. Just introduction 50 pages would be too long. If you can make it, but at least make it 30 pages kind of a thing.
And review of literature, if it is 12 to 15 pages, it's enough, no?
Yeah, that should be enough. Yes. So review of literature, as I said, number of papers would matter. If you just write from one paper all the 15 pages, then it would not have a value. You should refer at least 12 papers. So you should refer number of papers. Okay, rather than getting content only from one paper, lengthy content. Here it is not the length of content which is important. Here number of papers is important when it comes to review of literature.
Praveen, could you please crisply go once for the review of literature, because I joined very late by the time you were in mid. So and a small brief review of literature.
So review of literature.
Very helpful.
Yeah. So review of literature is nothing but you are searching in papers what exactly somebody did as a research on your topic. For example, in my case, it is related to remote working. So I go to scholar.google.com. Okay, and then I am going to search all the things like, for example, team co-location and performance, how team co-location is going to impact the performance, right? So here what I am doing, I am searching the papers. What is the research that is done on this topic? Okay, I go to that paper and then copy from the abstract of that paper what that paper is saying. Basically, why abstract? I need only high-level statement that this paper said this. I want only that conclusion part. Either abstract or conclusion will give me that particular information. I'm going to copy from the abstract of this particular paper, okay, into one of the sections of review of literature. For example, here in the remote working, I'm going to actually say that achieving employee performance. So basically, I'm going to put it in one of these particular sections, copy paste that abstract. Along that particular abstract, I will also copy paste the citation. So cite is the place where I'm going to get the citation. So I'm going to copy the citation, okay, and then place it in the end. In the references, I'm going to copy this particular citation here. So basically, I'm just saying that I checked this paper and this paper says so and so. That is what my abstract is going to say, okay. And then I'm going to put the reference of that paper as a citation inside my references. So two things I'm going to do. One is copy the abstract. The second thing is copy the reference of that particular citation. That's it. Okay. Where you are going to get citation in Google Scholars, you can actually see a link called as cite. Click on it. You will get the API reference. So this is the one which you need to copy. Okay.
Yes.
So these are the only two things. Copy the abstract and copy the citation. Okay, abstract, put it inside the review of literature. So if you say that review of literature, it is related to some paper, just make one section for that paper and then copy the abstract from it and then put the reference here. That's it. Okay. So any
abstract is one that is the PDF, no?
What is
the
it?
abstract is one that is the PDF, right? The abstract one you put it from the Google
No
Scholar.
need
It is
of
a
PDF.
PDF one, right?
No need of
How?
PDF, right? In certain cases, you could actually get directly from here. Just click on it, you will actually get. See, abstract is here.
Directly from. Okay.
So you don't really require to open any PDF or read that research paper in detail. No need of doing it. You need only conclusion part of it.
Is there anything like mandatory standard font size or line spacing, something?
Yes, actually there is some things that are mentioned in the material, whatever that IGNOU has published. For example, they published that this needs to be that Times New Roman 12, even spacing, I think they mentioned few. So there are few standards there. We'll have to probably refer to, I don't remember the names. I remember this Times New Roman 12 as the font size that they referred to. Other than that, also there are few guidelines, but yeah, don't worry about those particular guidelines when you are actually collecting this information. Just collect this information, make a document. In the end, we can probably go through those particular sizing and all those stuff and arrange it. So anyway, that's because when you are copy pasting from various things, right, that keeps get disturbing, right? So you will get various fonts and other things. You can just arrange. So definitely, yes, there are specifications that we will have to look for. But yeah, they are all defined in that particular thing. I mean, in that material itself. For example, font and font size and all those stuff. So Times New Roman 12 is the font that I remember. I maintained this font to make sure that I can keep track of number of pages right from the beginning. So if I choose a bigger font, I might get an illusion that I am completing more papers. But I would just wanted a realistic view on how many papers I made. So I maintained the font for sure. Okay.
This all feature come in the this MS Word is the one that you have done, involves and all this thing.
You're talking about whether it is an somehow your voice is, I don't know whether it is my network problem or your, but I couldn't get your question probably. So I just, the way that I do, right, I just open Google Docs and then copy paste all the content there, because I can work, if it is a Google Doc, I can work from various devices. So I don't really have to maintain the copy of this particular document on my laptop. So I just open in Google Docs and copy paste in Google Docs and generate the Word document out of it.
So Praveen, these topics to the left, they are the keywords relating to your project
my
topic,
headings,
right?
my subheadings. Yes, that's right.
Subheadings in the sense keywords relating to
Correct.
what you searched for.
What I
na?
searched. Yes, exactly.
Okay. And one more thing, you said we have to place the references under a different topic named references at the end.
Yes. Yes,
I have a doubt now. When we copy paste the abstract, do we
yes.
not need to know where that abstract was copied from? In the sense, do we not have to paste the citation just below that abstract? Is that not necessary?
No, not necessary. Not necessary.
Okay. Okay.
Praveen, that subheadings title you have done, no, in the doc, and this one, was that pre-written by yourself? I mean, this like objectives, variables, hypothesis was pre-written or something you have done, anything as
This
such?
was done in conjunction with the guide. Okay, so operational definitions is completely done by me. Okay, but the variables or the objectives is based on my discussions with guide. So guide provided these particular objectives and hypothesis and stuff. Okay, so
no, my query is these subtitles what you have written, no, that was you
one?
discussed with the guide or we have to
No,
write
this
from
is a
our side?
standard. This is standard subheadings. Within methodology, you need to have all these things. You need to have research problem. You need to have objectives. You need to have variables. This is going to be common for all of us. This is nothing specific to my paper. My paper specific thing came inside this operational definition. So you might have different variables to be defined, but other than that, these main headings: research problem, objectives, variables, hypothesis, operational definition, sample, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, tools, statistical techniques, all these things are standard headings that every one of us will have. So it will not be different from different for each one of us.
Right now, we need to send only introduction and review of literature to Akila ma'am. That's it, right? We need
because
to...
that is the major portion. So the next portion is just about collecting the data and pasting that particular data into your thing. Okay. So
okay, this is the next step after she approving it, right?
correct. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Praveen, Chetan here.
Yes.
So are we gonna maintain something called index, list of figures, acknowledgement in the beginning?
Basically, we might have to actually maintain that particular hygiene. I don't know, because none of the project reports that I have seen at least didn't have it. So not sure whether in case of IGNOU, this is the format, or we can probably add to this particular thing and then maintain. I don't know. But at least the sample papers that I have seen, I did not see any one of those mentioning about all those figures and all those stuff. Table of content kind of a thing is not there. Okay, in general, any research paper for that matter, most of those particular bibliography kind of a thing remains in the end, but I haven't seen any table of content that really comes in case of research paper. So this is like a standard format that a research paper really follows. So I really doubt whether we should actually keep those table of content and other things in the starting. So that at least I haven't seen any papers of that sort.
Okay, got it. Yes.
And the abstract, we can just go on copy pasting, right? I mean, is there a need where we might have to rearrange it, read the content, rearrange it?
So remove the unnecessary statements from that abstract. Okay, there could be certain statements which might not be of your interest. For example, if they say that something like we have done in such environment or whatever it is, which you feel as relevant to your study, then keep it. But that paper might actually talk about something else as well along with your point of interest, right? For example, if I pick up a paper which talks about employee performance and also talks about something else as a subject, let's say it is investigating two aspects, I don't want that second aspect. So I can remove that particular aspect from my abstract, whatever that I am pasting, because it is irrelevant for me. I don't have to talk about that, let's say how American situation is or something like that. If it is mentioned in that abstract, which is not really relevant, I don't really have to actually copy that American related context here. So just judge what to be just deleted, but you don't have to reword just English statements. Okay, that rewording of English statements is only required to make the flow of content. You don't have to actually worry about plagiarism and then make sure that every sentence you write in your own way. Don't do that. Especially in case of review of literature, you are not supposed to write in your own words. You are not supposed to write in your own words. You are supposed to actually copy paste majority of the thing, because the moment you write in your own words, you might change whatever the author is trying to say. Okay, it is a research paper. You are going to actually replicate as is, saying that, okay, this is what that research paper is actually saying. You should not supposed to actually, put it in your own words and then summarize in a different way. No, don't do that. In the introduction, you can do in whatever way you want. But in case of review of literature, it is actually expected to replicate. Okay, but when I say expected to replicate, don't put unnecessary statements if unnecessary statements are there in that abstract. At the same time, don't really, make sure that, okay, you summarize by your own way.
Right. So in a sense, it should be copy pasted as is, and if any unnecessary thing is that, only that should be edited.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it has to be kept as is.
Exactly.
Got
The
it.
things that I edited in some cases is like, for example, if I copy paste the abstract, the language that would be is that, oh, we did research in so and so place, and then we faced this kind of problem, something like that. The tone will be in that way. I actually changed that particular tone, saying that this research paper did research in so and so. They face these kind of problems, because I will summarize from my own point of view. So I would not say that we there, right? I will not copy paste that particular tone. So I change the tone to some extent, but not really change any other parts of English.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
This would be our final project report, complete project report, right? This is the fun.
Yes, correct. Correct. You might have already submitted the synopsis, right? So you are going to improvise your, the introduction and also review of literature in final project report, and then paste whatever the data, that analysis that you would do at later stage, and then submit the final project report, something like that.
The subtitle, what you have done is a part of introduction, right? This one, the quality of work, speed and efficiency, trust,
Yes, this
everything.
is all introduction.
Okay, okay.
So this is
Okay,
all
okay,
introduction.
okay. So this way, like you are, I mean, you are just filling it. I mean, that's make
Correct.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I have subdivisions even in review of literature. I have employee engagement papers which are covering employee engagement, and I have employee performance papers which are covering employee performance. I have remote working, which papers associated to remote working. So all those things. So I mean, properly arranged in sequence so that somebody who is reading the project report get that sequence. So it is not a random copy paste, which is like everywhere. Even though I copy pasted the content, the flow is mine.
For one topic, how many keywords we can make?
It depends on your number of variables. Typically, you might have 3 variables. So each variable, that is a typical thing. So each variable will at least have some 4 papers for it. At least 4 papers for it.
Okay.
That's how it is. If you get more and more relevant content and you feel that it is relevant to your paper, keep on doing it. The more you analyze as review of literature, the plus point it is.
Even for